All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 2 of From the Interns. Today we are here on Monday after the Tennessee game where Georgia came away victorious 44 to 41. Literally one of the craziest games we've ever been to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, all you can say is that's an instant classic. I mean, it felt a lot like the Alabama game last year, and we talked about this after, in that sense that just like Georgia was out of it, it seemed like it was over, and then next thing you know, it's just like Georgia's winning the football game. And it wasn't really that scenario because Georgia scored the last touchdown to win the game, but it also just, I mean, to me, another initial thought was it had a lot of hobnail boot to it to me, where just you completely shut them down and they thought they were going to win the game and then they just didn't. Last play of the game, Georgia wins. But yeah, I mean, instant classic. That was one of the better Georgia games I've ever seen, regular season at least. That was one of the better games I've attended. So
Yeah, that's just not a game that historically Georgia wins. Georgia doesn't
no,
win shootout
no,
games, and we saw something different about this team and the culture and identity that just Kirby Smart and has all of those guys fully believing that
yep,
they can win no matter what happens. One of the biggest takeaways that I had was just obviously Tennessee's first quarter performance was incredible. It was hilarious to see Georgia first offensive play of the game
absolutely,
throw a
yeah,
deep ball to
yep,
Colby Young, really
yeah,
just shut people up. They responded so fast, scored instantly,
yep.
and obviously at the end of the first quarter, I think it was 21-7. But the crowd pop was just on fire. That
Oh,
place
it was
was
unreal.
rocking. Checkered Stadium,
Yep.
flyover, USA chants. The atmosphere was incredible. They prayed before. It was really just something that I noticed was how really just together that game felt. And I don't know if you've seen on social media after this game, these teams' fan bases are literally just glazing each other. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it, but everyone came into this game respectful. From what I've seen, everyone had great experiences with varying fan bases with each other. And honestly, I'm going to say the crowd kind of disappointed me after the first quarter. I thought, they were so into it, but as soon as Georgia went on that run, making it 14, 21, and then 17,
Yeah.
21, it was sort of like Tennessee fans just knew what was inevitable,
Yeah.
and obviously they got back into it a little bit when they took that lead back, but it really did quiet down a decent bit, and there wasn't the same energy all throughout the game. And I don't know if that comes from a lack of actual confidence.
Yep.
But it was, I mean, that place was rocking, especially in the first quarter.
And yeah, I mean, you could definitely feel it. I mean, if you're a team, you're playing somebody you haven't beaten in 8 years, you're going to have a little less confidence than you would be if it's someone that you're usually used to beating, I guess. But yeah, I mean, even from where I was sitting in the box, you could definitely feel the energy between drives when Georgia was kind of coming back, and when they eventually took the lead, it was a little bit less energy in the building. But yeah, I mean, Aguilar's performance in the first quarter that was something that doesn't happen very much.
No,
And
no.
I think it was his yards in the first quarter was more than any other quarterback in Tennessee has had in a game against Georgia since I don't remember the year exactly, but I mean his performance in the first quarter. I mean that's something Tennessee fans against Georgia haven't seen in the recent dominance that Georgia's had. I mean that performance alone, just in that one quarter. But you got to give a lot of credit to Georgia's defense just to be able to focus up, figure out what they're doing wrong, and just adjust so quickly in the game and just make those adjustments and be able to hold Tennessee off because I don't think they had any second quarter points. Maybe,
No, I don't.
yeah, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
they
they
did.
did.
No, they didn't. So
Um,
it's just that. I mean, being able to do that, just that's a huge credit to Kirby and his staff to just be able to shut them down like that and just keep the game contained. Because when it was 21-7, I was thinking to myself, it might just be one of those days. I mean, like what we saw, I think it was Kirby's first year against Ole Miss on the road, and we just got completely smoked. I
mhm.
mean, that's what it seemed like to me at first. I mean, Tennessee literally seemed unstoppable. So, but a lot of credit to Kirby for figuring that out and keeping the dogs in it enough to have that comeback. But
Yeah, in that first half, one thing I just repeatedly saw was the fact that Joey Aguilar would just almost be sacked and get rid of it, and
yep,
they would have a big gain. His
yeah,
deep ball was just unmatched, And
Yep.
the big plays that they had were game changers, obviously. And one thing that I think you can look forward to as a Georgia fan is these are all very fixable things.
Absolutely.
It happened. Ellis Robinson, he's a true sophomore. He got targeted multiple times, but I mean, it's something that you can easily fix. Daniel Harris, you could argue a push-off on that touchdown by Brazel. I mean, what a game by him.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's unreal.
But
unreal.
you could argue a push-off there. He was running stride for stride with Brazel there on that route and sort of just misjudged it.
One of them, the one it was on my side of the field. From seeing it in the air, I was like, it looked like a push-off to me. And then it kind of bobbled it and then catches it and runs in. And it's just like, wow. I mean, that's just another showing that Aguilar's got a pretty good deep ball, whether or not you could argue that maybe some of those catches were a little lucky, but that's football. It doesn't matter. They made the play. They did what they needed to do. And, I mean, when you got a crowd like Tennessee and you got plays like that, I mean, you can get that place up and moving really quick. And that's something that we saw where it seemed like Georgia might be able to put them away. And when they kept kicking field goals in the red zone, it just felt like Tennessee wasn't out of it. Tennessee wasn't out of it. And then those deep balls, just when they get those and it just completely flips the momentum. I mean, with that crowd, it can be pretty tough to come back, but Georgia was able to stay in it, so it's props to them. But
yeah, one thing about the Daniel Harris coverage over Brazel there was an ESPN guy came up to me, and one of the guys I was next to, and he was like, as an unbiased viewer of this game, I thought it was a push-off, and he was asking us what we thought, and honestly, I didn't have a great view of it.
It definitely did seem like a push-off to me, but I mean, that's how it goes.
Again,
I mean, on those deep balls, it's 50-50, and honestly, if it's me, I don't want refs calling flags there. I like to just let the players go out there, and if he has the skill to go get that jump ball, which he did, and he had multiple of them, props to him. That's just a great football play, and I mean, you're going to scrap like that when you're up on a deep ball. That's just how it goes. So, I mean, yeah, he just made a great play on the ball, and I mean, some Georgia defenders might have slipped or whatever, but that's how it goes. I mean, but like you said, it's very fixable things. It's not necessarily that there's a skill lack there, but so it's just they made a good football play. You just got to have a next play mentality, I guess. There's not much you can do about it. So.
And also with that Ellis Robinson play, he really had the opportunity to just tackle him. He sort of had him wrapped up. He got the PI call already. Honestly, I mean, you're not in the NFL where you get that big gain automatically. I think you literally just tackle him. You don't let him get that. That, again, incredible throw. But back to Georgia, Gunnar Stockton had 304 passing yards. And like we talked about in the last episode, this is
a rushing touchdown on the opening drive.
Yeah,
rushing touchdown right after Tennessee scores.
We saw the first play of the season where Gunnar had a play-action rollout for a completion. And I saw one stat that said Georgia introduced 8 new running concepts in this game that I don't know if it was they haven't been seen this season or if they have literally never been seen before. And so for any of the Mike Bobo doubters or haters, I think that just goes to show he is still innovating.
Bobo called a great game. I know that it can be frustrating at times to see him call a game, but I think he called a great game. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of some of the screen passes to Dylan Bell at certain points. I don't necessarily know if that's the guy that needs to be getting screen passes, but I mean, when there were times that it even worked, and just the way that it was coming out of the half, or when they had the 13 rushing yard touchdown drive. I mean, it's just like 13 attempt rushing yard drive, but I mean, just the way that he was able to dial up the pass plays and that fourth down conversion. I think it was in the first quarter. The route to Branch that was a good play call.
And we just consistently saw Gunnar getting nailed and still making throws. And you talked about Dylan Bell. There was one, I think it was third down, where he has that ability to make the first guy miss. The one play I would argue against, which obviously hindsight's 2020, was 3rd and 6 and nearing the end of the game, and we run a screen play to Dylan Bell there. And obviously that drive ended up in a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, but I don't know what the idea is for a screen on that play. But when Georgia has these exterior blockers that are just putting these guys in the dirt, with Zachariah Branch, one of the fastest players in college football, get him the ball. It doesn't matter where it is. He's going to get yards. Yeah. He's got He's had at least a 17-yard reception in every game so far this season, and 2 of those from 40-yard screenplays that have been touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he's a difference maker, man.
If you just get him the ball in space, he's going to make a good play. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was kind of getting at earlier with Dylan Bell. Like, I'm not, that's no knock on Dylan Bell, but to me, down and long and you're going to throw a screen pass, I would have probably picked Zach Rybranch there. You can argue personnel all day, but that's my take on that. But, I mean, look, they did what they needed to do on offense. The running attack, just the multiple running backs. Coming into the year, it was all Nate Frazier. It's going to be his time, whatever. But, there's just a whole group of running backs that all are just good in their own different way. And that's just something that, on the road in the SEC, you got to be able to run the ball. Mm-hmm. And Georgia did a great job doing that. It just seemed like they just kept carving out runs, and which set up some of the deep balls that we saw to Humphreys. It set up some of the, quick screens to Branch that was all the way for a touchdown. It sets up those other pass plays that can allow you to be explosive on offense.
And we really saw Josh McCray make his identity in this game.
Absolutely.
He is maybe listed as RB4 or 5 on this roster, and he came in, he's 240, maybe 250, and he's just a bruiser. We saw the guy that Georgia now knows they can go to when you're on the 2, on the 1, and you just need that bruiser yard to just get that bruiser back to just get in there and find it. One of the things I noticed, you're talking about Nate Frazier, the first drive Georgia had, opening drive to score in the second half, was really highlighted to me by the fact that you've got Dontrell Glover, who's a right guard, true freshman, playing his first road game. I watched as Glover was sort of in the face of a Tennessee player. Nate Frazier's getting subbed out. Frazier comes back before getting subbed out, runs up to Glover, pretty much tells him to cut it out, is what I saw from the sideline. And Georgia ends up scoring on that drive. If you get a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike or whatever it may be, if that altercation ensued somehow, that's something that you don't see typically from a true sophomore guy. And I think Nate Frazier's leadership has really been evident.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with just Kirby's culture. I just think, he's got those players in a mindset where I'm not going to make a stupid mistake like that and cost my team 15 yards. It did show he's a freshman, he's young, but Nate Frazier, that immediate going up to him saying, hey, cut that out, I think that just has a lot to do with how Kirby has this program mentally focused, throughout the game, where we're not going to beat ourselves on stupid penalties like that. So,
and back to Dontrell Glover, once again, true freshman Langston Hughes. You've got Bo Hewley, who's also a former player at Langston Hughes. Kirby Smart talked about just the program that they have built in high school and the ability that these guys have been able to come in and play like this. Bo really had his first opportunity to shine in this league. And after the game, you could see him crying. You saw him emotional. And you could just see what it meant to him because Georgia was struggling at the right tackle position, and he came in and did his job. And Stacey Searles was talking about, or Kirby talked about what Stacey Searles said, the offensive line coach, and how Uni just wasn't making his plays, he wasn't performing well. So that's when they decided to go with Hewley there. But Kirby also just mentioned how much of a blessing Dontrell Glover has been to this team, and I think getting that sort of praise from Kirby Smart is a pretty big deal. And these freshmen, especially at offensive line, it's just incredible to see perform.
Well, it's depth. That's one of those things Kirby's always talking about. You got to have depth. And in a few past years, it feels like Georgia's maybe lacked some of that depth, but I feel like this year they have a little bit of that depth back that they've been looking for since they won the back-to-back national titles. So, as the season goes on, some guys are going to get banged up, so you got to have that next man up mentality. And someone might just have a day where they're just not really on their A game. So having that depth is just something that is going to be very beneficial for Georgia as the schedule only gets harder down the road. So
definitely, and highlight player of the game was London Humphreys.
Absolutely.
He had a wheel route catch where he leaps up, grabs it. Kirby Smart was talking about that was a more impressive catch to him than the touchdown that they ended up tying the game on. And I'm going to be completely honest. Georgia has the ball 38 or 30-38, and I'm thinking this team is going to score and not get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
The history of this season and just being down that close to the end zone resulting in field goals, I'm thinking hopefully they have something dialed up. And it was flawless execution by Zachariah Brown.
Oh, absolutely. Great route.
The touchdown that got them there is just in a bucket. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just
It's a great ball by Gunner.
It's a great ball, great over the shoulder catch, and it was just surreal.
Look, if we had Carson Beck, he probably would have underthrown that ball. So you can say all you want about Gunner Stockton, but that dude had a great game. And I mean, after the game, just watching his interview, and he's just smiling, talking to the reporters, like, great team game. I mean, I don't know who else you'd want in that huddle. I mean, I feel like he is one of the, I don't know, I'm not in the huddle, but he's seems like one of the more calming guys, just to be like, all right, guys, let's go. We got this. We got our game plan. We're going to go get it done. I don't know what else you'd want in a starting quarterback. I really don't. I mean, the guy played a great game. He had a fumble, yes, and that was a pretty big moment in the game, but Georgia's defense was able to get a stop and keep them in the game. But I really don't know what else you can ask for from Gunner, and if you still have your doubts about Gunner, I really don't know what you're watching. So,
I agree. I mean, you can't name a guy that has been more level-headed and just on the exact same plane. I don't think it matters. You could be down 30 points. You could have a 30-point lead. He literally has the exact same reaction, and every time he talks to the media, he sounds the exact same.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter his performance. Against Marshall, he was the same guy as he was against Tennessee.
Right.
He's just a very consistent player.
Yeah.
And it's funny. He's now fourth in the Heisman odds, behind Carson Beck, who's number one. But it's just you've got a guy from Tiger Georgia, Raven County High School that's putting his name out there as a potential Heisman candidate.
Right.
And
it's just, again, I mean, you can sit there all you want and say that he doesn't fit the quarterback, whatever. He's not the big flashy guy, but I don't know if that's really what Georgia's been very successful with in the past. I mean, you look at Stetson Bennett. Nobody thought when he first came to Georgia that he was going to do what he did. So it's one of those things. I mean, you look at other programs across the country. I mean, Carson Beck, that's probably a good fit down in Miami. They're flashy. They're big time. They do all this stuff. But Gunner Stockton, he's just going to put his head down. He's going to be a junkyard dog, and he's just going to do what he needs to do to go win the football game. He's not worried about the stat line. He's not worried about, if I need to win Heisman, I need to get X amount of yards. He's just going to go out there and do what he needs to do to put a W on the board for the Bulldogs. So, again, I mean, look, got Alabama in a few weeks. His bye week's going to be huge, but offense looks pretty good to me. Putting up 44 points, that's pretty solid on the road, I would say. So,
absolutely.
And the defense it had its struggles, but at the same time, I mean, what was it, 2 interceptions?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're making plays like that to, stop some of that, that's just how, it's going to be like that sometimes. So.
And this one makes it Georgia's 15th win against a ranked opponent since 2022. The only school that has completed this accomplishment.
Yep.
15 wins against ranked opponents since 2022. It just talks about Kirby Smart and the team's tenacity and culture. The biggest thing I saw leading up to the Alabama game, obviously this bye week, but since 2010, Alabama has not played a road game that has not resulted in a field rushing where they've lost. So every single time Alabama has lost on the road since 2010, the field has been stormed. And this is Georgia's opportunity to win its 34th straight home game. So both of these things are something that this game is going to result in the end of a streak. Georgia's not going to rush the field if they beat Alabama. They expect to win this game. The fans expect to win this game. And at the same time, Georgia's huge record-breaking win streak could come to a close.
Yeah.
So it's obviously high stakes. The fact that Georgia came away with a win in this game makes it that much more impactful. We were talking about after the game, does the fan base sort of lose a little bit of its juice going into this Bama game if they don't win this Tennessee game? And Probably not that much, but
I think a little bit.
th-
I think
there's definitely
there are
something there.
definitely certain fans out there a little bit, but not as much because I think, I feel like that game it still is a must win, but I think if you go up to Knoxville and lose and come back home with Alabama, puts a lot of pressure on the team, and it I think would definitely make that a must win because if you lose to Alabama and you're 2-2 and you got to win out probably to go to the playoff, that's very difficult, especially with who Georgia has left on the schedule at Auburn. I mean, Florida's always a trap game. I think they'll take care of that anyways, how Florida's been playing. But yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech too. But there's a lot of games on the schedule for Georgia that are tough. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like going into the season, nobody talked about Tennessee game. Everybody was just Alabama, Texas, those home games are crazy. Auburn, that'll be loud and stuff. But Tennessee kind of flew under the radar, and it just seemed like coming into this week, it just out of nowhere, everybody just started freaking out about Tennessee. Like, holy crap, they're really good, whatever. I mean, I think they're a really good team, but I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, and I think there's going to be a lot of games like that the rest of the year where right now we don't see that as a big game. But I mean, Mississippi State, they just beat Arizona State last week, like we talked about. I mean, maybe they'll be decent by then. I don't know if they will be, but it's going to be an 11 o'clock kick. It'll be a trap game in my eyes. So there's a lot of games left where Georgia could be careful. So just being able to leave that Knoxville with a win, that was huge just for a lot of different things. But like I said, so.
Yeah, and you said Tennessee's a good team. I think both those teams we watched on Saturday are playoff teams.
Yes, they're both going. Yeah, absolutely.
Tennessee plays Bama. That's the one big one that they have a chance at losing.
I think they got Oklahoma at home.
Oklahoma at home.
That'll be a good.
I think they win that game. I think Tennessee is a playoff team.
They're good.
And
Yep.
so this is gonna bring us into a new segment. It's a weird one, but we got the pizza performance of the week.
Yep.
And so this is gonna be where we relate a pizza to Georgia's performance based off the last weekend. And I was talking to Matthew. I don't know what type of pizza this could be. It's not a pepperoni. It's not a good one. It's not a great one. It's not a cauliflower crust, broccoli pizza. It's not bad. Obviously, Georgia won. I think you can only describe this game as a pineapple pizza, and it's something that you don't expect Georgia to win these type of games. You don't expect fruit to be on a pizza, but it is, and Georgia did. Therefore, I think pizza of the week, pineapple.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about that segment. We're going to be doing that every week.
Yeah. And then just a little bit across football. Notre Dame is now 0-2. They lost to Texas A&M. Heartbreaker for them, and they're still ranked number 23, which I think is extremely absurd that they have. I think they're the only 0-2 team that's still ranked. I don't know how that happens, but whatever. Notre Dame always gets a lot of love, so I mean, you'd think they'd have to win out to even have a prayer at the playoffs. So it seems like they've got their struggles. LSU beat Florida. Lagway threw 5 interceptions. So for somebody that people thought was a Heisman favorite, I don't know if that's really the performance you're looking for. And I got a lot of questions about Billy Napier and what he's got going on at Florida, and I think his time there is extremely numbered. And then Georgia Tech beat Clemson that was a home game. And now Tech is number 18. And again, like I was saying, you sit there at the beginning of the year and you think, Georgia, they got a lot of games on their schedule that, are tough, but nobody maybe would talk about Tech. I mean, I know the game last year was a big thing that might make people think about Tech a little bit more coming into this year, but Tech's a good football team, and that showed. I mean,
Brent Key has that team fired up. He knows.
Does. Yep.
He has a passion that I feel like you don't see a lot. I want to say he cried after the Georgia game last year, and he was visibly emotional after this Clemson win. Went up to Haynes King. There's a cool angle of Brent Key and Haynes King hugging, and then it pans to the whole crowd surrounding them, cheering them on. And we hate Tech as much as anyone else, if not more. But they are building a successful program. And
non-biasly, you do have to give a lot of credit to Brent Key because, I mean, when he took over that program, they were horrendous. I mean, Jeff Collins, he wasn't what Tech needed, and Brent Key came in there, and he's got them ranked number 18 in the country, and they're probably just going to keep climbing because, honestly, their schedule is not very hard. So there's a decent chance that when Georgia and Georgia Tech meet in Atlanta later this year that Tech might have 1 or 2 losses on the schedule thinking about their schedule, I don't know if there's going to be too many games that they won't be favored in. I mean, there's a few road games that'll be tough. I think NC State. But, I mean, they got everything in front of them. And, I mean, if they just stay focused, they're a very much a sleeper for the playoffs. Non-biasedly, I don't like Tech one bit. However, they got a good team. Haynes King's a good player, so we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, I don't know.
They've slowly been climbing back and really making a name for themselves.
Absolutely.
We've got dogs in the NFL. Little recap. Big games tonight. It's Monday.
Yep.
We've got Nick Chubb, shout out. Kamari Lassiter, Brock Bowers, and Ladd McConkey are all playing tonight, so they haven't gone yet. But probably the biggest moment of the weekend for just Georgia fans and people that live in the state of Georgia and are Falcons fans, Jalen Walker got his first career sack in the NFL. It was a big night, just not alone for him, but rookies on the Falcons. We were looking. Great. Watts had his first interception.
Bowman had a great game.
Rook had his first sack.
Yep.
And James Pierce Jr. had his first sack. Yep. It was just a big weekend for the Falcons, a big one there against.
It was a big weekend for Georgia fans. Because you were saying before, like, when was the last time that both Georgia and the Falcons won a big primetime game? It's been a long time.
I mean, it put Georgia Tech in there.
Yeah,
there's a lot
Tech too.
A
yeah,
lot of
if you're a
fans
Tech
in the state
fan
of
watching,
Georgia are pretty happy with this weekend's performance.
You literally couldn't ask for a better weekend if you're a Georgia sports fan, either Tech or Georgia fan. You really couldn't ask for much more. Mm-hmm. So, and then we can go into some of our picks for the weekend. I know it's early. I'm sure the lines will move a little bit, but starting off, I like Miami -7.5 over the Gators at home. Like I said, I thought Florida was going to be, and he can say this too, I thought Florida was going to be a pretty good team at the beginning of this season, but I don't know where their headspace is right now. I saw a clip this weekend, and it was Florida players when their alma mater was playing, and there were maybe 3 players standing there. And they're all supposed to do it, apparently. I don't know if that's completely true, but I think that says a lot about where their program is right now, and I think Miami is obviously top team in the ACC now that Clemson's obviously down, so I really think Miami wins by 8+ in that game, and I mean a home game, so I think they're going to take care of business there.
I've got Tennessee over UAB. It's 40.5, but I mean, like we saw, this team puts up points. UAB, underwhelming performance so far this season, and I think Tennessee's just going to come out on fire. Like we said, we think they're a playoff team. We think they're going to try to make a statement. This could be another game where Tennessee goes out there and tries to score 63 points and just
they're going to be mad. They're going to be ready to go.
I think they're going to make a statement there, and I think they're going to win that game big.
I got Syracuse +17.5 over Clemson. It's at Clemson, yes, but again, this same thing as Florida. I think Dabo's a great coach, but I really don't know where Clemson's headspace is right now. I mean, you lose a dogfight to LSU, you lose a dogfight to Tech. I just don't. I mean, 17.5. That's a lot of points, and I just feel like I don't know. I mean, I would assume Clemson's going to win the game, but Syracuse could win. I don't know. So I think 17.5. I'd say that's a pretty safe line. Again, it is at Clemson. That's a tough place to play. I'm pretty sure it's a noon kick. So yeah, I feel like Syracuse. They got Fran Brown. I think they'll be able to cover the 17.5 pretty easily.
Fran Brown's going to have them ready to go.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, I've got UTEP over Louisiana Monroe. I feel like it's a pretty easy pick, just off of what happened last weekend. So I don't know if that's what I'm going off of, but they held Texas to 27 points. Arch Manning obviously didn't play well, but he had an interception. UTEP has Malachi Nelson, former 5-star, who's been playing decent. And I think UTEP really just uses the sort of momentum that they gained from that Texas, even though it was a 17-point loss against one of the top teams in the country. I think they take that and run with a cover of the 4.5-point spread.
Yeah, so I mean for Georgia, you got to get some much needed rest on the bye week, and you got to get ready for Alabama. I mean, if you're asking me, like, I know Texas, Arch Manning, that's all the big talk, but Alabama coming to Athens, that was the one I had circled at the beginning of the year. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit next week, but yeah, just much needed rest for us too. We were exhausted. We got back from Knoxville at 3:30 in the morning because we decided to drive back after. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody just, like I said, just get a lot of much needed rest and just get ready for an Alabama game that's going to be probably, if if I had to guess, just as exciting as a Tennessee game, maybe in a lot different way, but it'll be very, very similar. So
It's gonna be game day. It's gonna
Yep.
be the biggest game of the weekend. Obviously, this sort of rivalry has built in this game, and it's been one sided in history. But I think early prediction: this is the year Georgia gets it done.
yeah,
Um,
it's time. It's time. I mean, Nick Saban's gone. They're at home. We'll get into this more next week, but it's time to rip the band. We got to beat Bama. Georgia has to win that game. So again, but like you're saying, so